Now, here's your host, Ted Heusel.
And thank you very much, friends, and a good Friday morning to you here on WAAM. The Kiwanis Club of Ann Arbor is celebrating something coming up here, and we have a couple of Kiwanis people with us. And Dale Leslie, and welcome, and introduce your guest.
Well, Ypsilanti is celebrating their 75th as well, and Al Jocelyn, a member of their club, has been good enough to join us here this morning, Ted, and we're debating earlier. We don't know which one is, as far as the club is concerned, which one is older. We think it's down to days and hours and minutes, but I think we'll say Ypsilanti has the most senior status here.
Welcome.
Thank you. Ypsilanti Club was born on the April the 13th, 1921, and it received its charter in May of 20th, 1921. It was the 15th club in the Michigan district and the 462nd club chartered in the entire United States. And this was probably just about 25 years after Kiwanis originated in the city of Detroit.
And here it was born 1921?
Same year, and our charter was issued to us on May 13th. So, as I say, Ypsilanti has us beaten by a few days.
Well, it's about 6 months after I was born, and I understand that there was a Heusel that was the first president.
We have that distinction. I'm not sure, I can't speak for Al, but in the Ann Arbor Club, Fred Heusel was the charter president of our group in 1921. He's a member of our club's Hall of Honor.
Frida Heisel's assist. That's the name I
Oh,
tried to,
she's a lovely lady. She's a lovely lady. She, in fact, was on hand when we installed Fred posthumously into the Hall of Honor and received the award on his behalf. She's a beautiful lady. But our club...
and at 101, she's still around.
Is she really? I always remember her comment about your dear relative, Fred. Apparently you own the bakery here in town. And she got up and she said, one thing about Fred... he didn't know the difference between a pound of sugar and a pound of salt. But he was a lovely man and very charitable with his time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, let's have some history. What's historic about the Kiwanis clubs?
Well, I think the history of the Ypsilanti Kiwanis Club has been one of continuous service to the community. One of the very early projects, which was carried on almost immediately after the club was formed and chartered, we had on in the club a man by the name of Professor Pittman, who was a professor of rural education here at Eastern Michigan University, then Michigan State Normal College.
Rural education.
Rural education.
And those were the 2-year certificates, I think.
2-year certificates, and his aim was to get all of the rural schools of Washtenaw area around Ypsilanti there to consolidate. And so the Ypsilanti Club started a campaign of information, education of the population of these rural schools, and the result of that effort on the part of Dr. Pittman and the Kiwanis Club and the people of the community was that 13 rural schools became Lincoln Consolidated School. And that was probably the big first achievement of the Ypsilanti Kiwanis Club in Ypsilanti.
How many members do you have?
We have, at the present time, about 46 members.
And you started out with what?
We started out with about 86. That was the number of people we had at the time of the charter. Recruiting is a very difficult thing in service clubs anymore because the business community has moved out to the malls, and the difficulty of finding business people and people who are interested in community service.
Pressures that young people have today.
It's very difficult to get them.
And it's a sad commentary when the community is breaking down for lack of volunteers.
Yes.
That's right.
I mean, that's what we need, and that's what you have done, please.
Well, I think, I could go on with a number of projects which we've done. For example, we spent about 1,028 man-hours putting through the road, which is in Riverside Park, back some 35, 40 years ago. At that time, we had about 100 members in our club. In one day, we cleaned out that park. We cleaned out the river. We cleaned out a hobo jungle. We put the road through. We put gravel on the road, taken out of the riverbed.
Is that the road that you take when you see the lights?
That is the road that you take when you see the lights down in Riverside Park. All that was done by Kiwanis in one day. We had a large amount of heavy equipment, and the man who spearheaded that is Mr. Kiwanis and Mr. Ypsilanti, in my judgment, a man by the name of Andrew Smith, who owned an electrical company in our community and since retired. He's now
still around?
He's 86 years old and still having projects. He is now getting us engaged in cleaning up the south side of the river from Michigan Avenue on down towards Ford Plant, and putting in a walkway and putting in a soccer field for the use of the people there. And
that's great.
He's worked very hard at that.
So we congratulate him.
Absolutely. He's number one is my books.
Now, here in Ann Arbor, Dale, are you one of the younger members? I remember when you were playing on the Pioneer football team. And then you went to Eastern, and then you went into the family business.
How can I avoid giving my age away? I guess I'm kind of in the middle of the pack as far as age goes. We have quite a cosmopolitan mix of people, all ages, all walks of life. And over 10% of our members are women, which is kind of interesting. Our philanthropy actually began with a project that we started that now has become a statewide Kiwanis project, and that's the hospital school at C.S. Mott Children's Hospital. There was a need back in 1922, just a year after we were founded, to supply the hospital with play equipment for the children that were hospitalized there, and that has grown into the hospital school, which means that when children are in the hospital, they can still attend school classes. So that project, which had its origins in our club, now is a statewide Kiwanis project, and it's named in honor of one of our former members and past secretary of the Michigan District of Kiwanis, Forney Clement. We also, of course, are probably best known for our rummage sales, which began in 1927.
Which never stop.
They just keep on. We had our 70th annual.
Yeah, but it's every weekend, isn't it?
Well, it's now a Saturday event, right? Mm-hmm. It went from being an annual activity to quarterly, and now you're right, we are open every Saturday.
And that doesn't mean they don't want any junk, friends. They want things that can be sold. People used to just load off everything they wanted to, and then you had to get rid of it.
We've received quite a bit in that period of time, soup to nuts. In fact, we recently had an overstock of bowling balls. So if you bought a mattress or a bed, you got a free bowling ball as a courtesy from the club. But that revenue that we've generated from those sales, for the most part, has gone right back into the community. And
is the carnival your affair too?
We don't.
Carnival at Pioneer. Who's the fair?
I think that's the Ann Arbor JCs. I think that,
the
sponsor that.
Okay.
So anyway, the hospital school and our rummage sale are certainly two of the highlights.
What is the big event for the next rummage sale?
Actually, we won't have a more expanded sale now until fall when the students return.
Okay. So that means you're piling up now.
Right, we sure are. But again, a reminder, we are open each Saturday from 9 to noon down at the Kiwanis building on the corner of Washington and First Streets.
Now, was that building originally Kiwanians' building?
That was that was a building that was owned by John Swisher, who was a charter member of our club and a past president. And John and his family were very generous and sold that building to our club back in 1966 at a very, very low figure, I might add. And we did have a mortgage on the building that the note burning was held in 84. So that building, the Kiwanis Activity Center, remains our property, and
free and clear.
Actually, we're one of the few clubs, I think, I mean, Al could probably check me on this, that own their own building. I mean, literally own the building that we meet in.
Well, I think the Moose did.
Oh, okay, I was just speaking of Kiwanis in particular,
And now they've sold that building to, I think, to Kroger's, which they may have had a big deal. You know the one I'm speaking of,
Right.
out your way,
Right,
or your
where the
business.
Kroger is going to go, right?
You know. Well, anyway, some of the early Kiwanians and some of the things that were done. Do you know any names? Any
Well,
stories?
I can. These names would be familiar to you. I'm speaking from the Ann Arbor Club now. Certainly, you've heard of the name Almendinger, for which the park on Pauline is named. He was a charter member of our club. And I think you also would recognize the name Holloway from Holloway Field.
Mm-hmm.
Lou Holloway was a charter member of our club. Bob Norris of the renowned engineering firm of Aris Lewis Norris and May was a charter member of our club. We've had several people have held political office, George Meader being one of them, who was in Congress for a number of years, and Ray Smith also, who had quite a legacy in the state legislature as a past president of our club. So, I mean, we've had...
Did you ever make Romanoff make him a member?
He was an honorary... In fact, Ted, I think I was going back through our history. I think you and Romanoff were our past honorary members of our club. I don't know if you use that on your vitae.
Yeah, I remember that. I'll be back in a moment.
Farmer Grants reminds you, don't forget Mom. You have less than a week to buy her that special something to say, thanks for being the best mother in the world. The best way to show Mom you care is to bring her to Farmer Grant's annual open house and flower show this weekend, Friday and Saturday from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. and from 11 to 5 on Mother's Day. There, you'll see...
No, that is huge. 11 acres of mowing lawns. But the number of people in and out of do they usually stay?
We have a pretty good retention factor in our club. I mean, for instance, we have, I think at last count, 15 or 17 past presidents of our club that are still members. And I know we have a lot of sons and daughters of members that are part of our group.
Do you have women over in Ypsilanti?
Yes, we do. Only a couple of them at the present time. We would enjoy having some more join our club. If there are any ladies in our listening area who would be interested in Kiwanis, give us a call. We'd be happy to have you come to one of our meetings. Our meetings are held on Wednesday at noon at Charles McKinney Hall on campus, and you could contact any member of the Kiwanis Club. You could call me at my home, Alvin Jocelyn at 1214 Sherman, 483-3779, or you could contact Harry Padelford, who is the secretary of the club, at 483-3484. Those are two people that you could make contact with.
Now, this community service that you do, which is the important part of your club. That's the reason for it, isn't it?
That's right. Absolutely. In fact, it's interesting. Kiwanis, at its very initial stages, was formed just to kind of grease the palm of each other, okay? The men that formed it in Detroit did it primarily for business reasons, and they soon found what most of us, I think, in life discover, that there has to be more of a reason than financial for groups to survive, and that's where the philanthropy came into play. And since its early stages, Kiwanis began to learn that to keep a group together and give it some sort of purpose, you've got to help others.
What does the word Kiwanis mean?
It's an Indian term.
Then
we're going to have controversy.
Politically correct, you may have to change that.
But the motto is we build, and I can't think of a more apropos motto for Kiwanis than that, because not only do we help build communities, but I think we help build character in our members and leadership, and there's all sorts of things that Kiwanis does that builds, and I think that motto, Al, I'm sure you would agree with this, is more than appropriate for our group.
Well, I do remember Louis Ryman in there. I remember Ralph Keyes. Ralph was a big lawyer here in town.
Yes.
I think he had the Norman Collins case, didn't he? Wasn't he? He had one of the... he had the Bill Morey case.
Morey case.
He had the Bill Morey case.
Yes.
Ralph Keyes. He was... and he's one of your past presidents. Somebody had a question? Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Said that field was named after Lou Holloway, not Bob Holloway.
Lou, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he meant
Said
that.
Bob Holloway, the son.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right. That's right, Lou. We can't forget Lou. And Bob, of course, followed in Lou's footsteps. He was a coach, not only here at Michigan, but he went on to coach the Cardinals, and he was a long-time assistant coach for the Minnesota Vikings.
Great family. One of the things our Kiwanis Club does in Ann Arbor that I'm especially proud of is every weekday our club members and their families and friends complete one of the motor meals distribution routes at noontime here in the community. And of course what that means is that meals are delivered to those people, primarily older adults, to help them maintain their independent living. So that goes on every single day of the week, and our club is directly involved in that motor meals distribution.
Would you have a special 75th anniversary coming up?
We have a special 75th anniversary coming up a week from this Saturday, the 18th of May at 6 o'clock or 6:30 at Charles McKinney Hall. And we'd invite any Kiwanians or former Kiwanians or people who would be interested in coming to that. But you do need to make reservations in advance, and you would have to call Mr. Padelford at the number which I gave before, 483-3484, to make those reservations.
Our celebration's a little bit more immediate than theirs. We're celebrating tomorrow night, although we could still accommodate someone if they wish to come.
Where?
We're going to be at Barton Hills tomorrow night, and Judy Dow Romelhart, who's one of your close associates, Ted, is going to provide the entertainment, and we'll be installing three new members into our Hall of Honor, and just reflecting again on part of our history. But if anyone is interested in attending the banquet or in our club, let me give you this phone number. They can call me at 665-6153. One thing I wanted to mention is that even though our clubs are autonomous of each other, we do have some common denominators, and I think this is what, again, makes Kiwanis unique. We all are involved in sponsoring youth organizations. We have youth organizations at the high school and middle school level, and we are one of the few civic organizations that involve ourselves that way. And in addition to that, Al's club and our club and all the rest of the 8,000 clubs throughout Kiwanis International are currently engaged in a unified effort to eliminate iodine deficiency by the year 2000 throughout the world. We've launched what we call a worldwide service project to eliminate the iodine deficiency that plagued this country early on in this century, but is still the major cause of mental disabilities in the world. And through UNICEF and the efforts, again, of other Kiwanis clubs in addition to ours, we're going to lick this problem, Ted. We're going to close out this century by telling the world that Kiwanis helped eliminate iodine deficiency. And I think that's something that
So Kiwanians are all over the world.
Yes.
70-some countries, I think, Al.
Right, that's correct. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think the figure I saw at last count was over 300,000 members and 8,500 clubs. So you're right, it's an international organization.
I think that in addition to what just been said, our Kiwanis Club for the past 25 years has had 2 adopted children. And these 2 adopted children have come from all the countries of the world. And we have provided money through a tot pot, which we pass around each week to our club members. And this money goes to feed, clothe, allow children to go to school. And we get back from these children letters of appreciation saying to us that if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be able to have clothes, or I wouldn't be having this food, or I wouldn't be able to go to school. It's one of our very important activities. It might be interesting to note that back in 1926, Professor Carl Prey moved that the Kiwanis Club sign notes for $600 and for $768, along with the Rotary Club, to which would equal about $8 per capita, to secure a permanent residence for the Washtenaw Boy Scout camp at Dexter. Now, that was an early activity on part of our club and the local Rotary Club to get scouting going. Later on, the same club built a health facility out at Bruin Lake. That was all done by Kiwanis labor, and some $3,500 of money was put into the materials for that.
Do want to remind you that weather forecasters may not give guarantees, but Sparkle Auto Wash does. Take advantage of their rain guarantee. If it rains within 24 hours of your wash, bring in your receipt within 2 days and get a free exterior wash. Sparkle Auto Wash, South Industrial Highway, that's near the stadium, and across from the Kroger stores. Sparkle Auto Wash. Our guest, the Kiwanians, here today. We'll be back.
The alarm goes off at 5 and you think, I'm getting too old for this. You head out to the job, fire up the Bosch slide miter saw and trim out the porch. Later, when you see what you've done, you think again, I'm not too old for this.
Bosch Power Tools salutes all those guys who get up at the crack of dawn and
Source for the latest, most accurate information. When a news story breaks, you hear it first on WAAM. For the most up-to-date road conditions in and around the county, tune to WAAM in the morning and in the afternoon. WAAM is Washtenaw County's information station. You need to know. You need WAAM.
Hi, I'm Greg Gumbel, and I've called a lot of great games. But the best call I ever made was putting a Hot Spring portable spa in my backyard. Hot Spring's warm, swirling water and powerful jets, like their patented Moto Massage, which sweeps up and down my back, helps me relax, even sleep better. Hot Springs, the world's #1 selling hydrotherapy spa, backed by the most comprehensive warranty in the business. So make the right call. Call 1-800-234-9957 for the dealer near you. Hot Spring Portable Spas, where America goes to relax.
Teaching.
Remind you that Sparkle Auto Wash is celebrating. You get the presents this weekend only. All $8 washes will be $5, and all $5 washes will be $3. And there's a lot more, but it's a secret, so you can hear it this afternoon on WAAM for details. Let's tune in this afternoon. But Sparkle Auto Wash, this week only, $8 washes will be $5. All $5 washes will be $3. Some of the things you're doing right now.
Well, just as recently as, I guess, a week ago, our club participated in the Christmas in April project that I guess is a nationwide phenomenon. But here locally, we had a house over on Spring Street that we literally attacked with the help, I might add, of the Pioneer and Huron Key Clubs, which are Kiwanis organizations at those two high schools. And Rick Brewster, a local business person, was the leader on that project. And the house was re-roofed and reframed and brought up to code, as they say. And so that's probably our most recent project and one of certain note.
That's a neat deal.
Isn't that a wonderful thing, though?
It really is.
Yeah, the community really rallies to that.
You had a question?
I was wondering, Ted, if you could ask your guests how they accomplish this iodine deficiency crusade throughout the world.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what we're doing is, or did you want to answer that?
You go ahead.
Okay. What we are doing as Kiwanians is having special fundraising projects.
Kiwanians all over the world.
All over the world to raise money, and really what it involves is setting up salt plants in some of the remote areas of the world. There's also an education component where we try to teach people so they understand the importance of salt in their diet. It's just basically, I guess, a combination of salt iodinization, or whatever the term is, combined with an educational factor to try to reverse this trend, which is a major problem around the world. I know in this country it's difficult for us to identify with it, at least in recent history, but for those that can reflect back early on in the 20th century, you know that people suffered from goiter. You know they suffered from cretinism, and there were a lot of stillbirths that were caused because of this lack of salt in the diet. So we're hoping that we can prevent these disorders from continuing, but we can also reverse some of the existing conditions and improve mental capabilities and productivity in iodine-deficient areas.
Do you want to add to that, Al?
No, I think he's covered it very well. Our club has a special collection every week, and we hope that in the course of 5 years that we will have raised about $10,000 for this particular project just from our very small club of some 46 men. That's quite a sum of money. In addition to that, we just finished running our Golden Triangle Kiwanis track meet for 7 of the area schools, and we hope to make that an annual event. I might cite one other project which the club not too long ago undertook. We have what is known as the Full Circle House in the city of Ypsilanti for people who have had mental illness and who need a place to meet and for sort of a recovery period and coming back into society. We took a house down there and completely tore it apart in the inside, put new partitions in, put new windows in, completely refurbished the house, all with Kiwanis labor. And the money for the materials did come from the state of Michigan as a part of their program of rehabilitation. But thousands of man-hours went into that particular project, and there was no pay for the people who were involved except to just put in work. We just finished putting in a fence down by the public library to try to enhance the appearance of the public library at this present time.
That's what I like about Kiwanis. It's the old dirt under your fingernails, you know. We're going to meet, but we're going to go out and do things, too. And without trying to boast too much, I consider Kiwanians to be the doers of this community. We underwrite a fair number of projects. We write a good number of checks, but there's a lot of actual hands-on kind of things too that go on out there, and that's something that I think makes us unique.
Herb Estes was a Kiwanian too. Didn't I see him down there at the building a number of times?
Herb was a regular at our weekly sales, and we miss him dearly. Yeah, and he was proud of Kiwanis, perhaps second only to the fact that he went to Alma College.
Yeah, he was on the board there for a number of years, wasn't he?
I think Alma and Kiwanis were kind of 1-2 on his list of favorites.
Well, I wish he was still around. I have a relative that's a star on an Alma team now. Basketball team. The Kiwanians we're talking about today. The Christian Science Sentinel Radio Edition is a weekly series that can be heard every Sunday, 9:30 a.m. here on WAAM. This conversational program will discuss current public topics as well as share healings throughout prayer from people all over the world. That's every Sunday, 9:30 a.m. here on WAAM.
We do intermingle with each other, by the way. I think that's another thing I enjoy about Kiwanis is that our clubs visit each other, and we call them inner clubs. That's when 4 members of one club visit another. And I know Al's club, for instance, is a champion at this. I think you get to all the other clubs in the area, several times a year.
We have what we call round robins. And a round robin is visiting every Kiwanis club in your particular division. And in our division, there happens to be 8 clubs. And I think in Dale's division, there's, about 13?
Yes.
So that means that 4 men have gone out to each one of these clubs within a given period of time and completed a round robin. And we are now working on our 7th round robin. So that is 7 times 8 number of contacts which we've made with the clubs in our division.
Would you all meet Mondays, or do you just gather the dates of meetings?
They're all different days of the week. In fact, there are 5 clubs in Ann Arbor, 5 Kiwanis clubs I'm talking about, and all of us meet different days of the week, and all of us meet, for the most part, different times of the day. So if someone said, gee, I can't make the noon meetings at the Kiwanis Club downtown, but I could be a part of an evening club or one that meets in the morning, let's say, around breakfast or so, there are clubs in this area that do meet in the morning and in the evening in addition to the noontime clubs. And, of course, there are Kiwanis clubs in outlying areas, too, in Dexter and Chelsea, Tecumseh, Saline, all these communities have Kiwanis clubs. So Kiwanis is in the air everywhere, as they say.
We have some messages. Then I want to ask you, how can you become a Kiwanian?
Get your coat, son. We're going to the AT&T phone center store.
Can't, Dad. Closed.
Closed?
Closed, Dad.
Where am I supposed to get an AT&T answering system or an AT&T cordless telephone?
Sears, Dad.
Phone accessories.
Sears, Dad.
Knowledgeable salespeople.
Sears, Dad.
Great deals and savings.
Sears, Dad.
Even though AT&T phone centers have closed, there is still a store with a great assortment of high-quality AT&T products.
Sears, son?
Sears, Dad.
Sears, the best place to buy AT&T quality products.
Hi, this is Jim Bohannon. Please join me for the next Coast to Coast Bohannon Show with our Week in Review with Bonnie Urbay and Scott Rasmussen, plus Michael Fox. Nope, not that one. The Vice President of the Humane Society will talk about home remedies for cats and dogs. See you here. Tonight at 11 on your information station, we are WAAM.
Who knows what evil lurks in the heart of your home's ductwork? Indoor Comfort knows. Dust bunnies turn into dust dragons. Pet hair, cooking grease, insects, smoke, and other debris. All of this lives in your home's ductwork. And then you live in your home? Call Indoor Comfort at 665-9860. Indoor Comfort will clean your ductwork efficiently and affordably. Satisfaction guaranteed or your money back. You'll breathe easier. Just call Indoor Comfort 665-9860.
Kiwanians 75th, and our guest this morning. Give us some more background.
Some more background?
Some activities.
Some activities which we've done.
Well, one of the projects that...
wait just a minute. We'll take this call first. Yes.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Steiner, and I'm the daughter-in-law of Ray Steiner, and who's been a long-time Kiwanian in the Ann Arbor area and is now living up in northern Michigan. And I guess I just wanted to call with a comment that Kiwanis has been a wonderful club that my father-in-law has been involved with, and not only the things that they do for other people, but I think what it does for the members. He's been able to travel all over on cruises and traveling all over the United States, and each place he goes, he tries to look up a Kiwanian, and it kind of gives him an instant...
and his name is Ray Steiner.
Raymond Steiner, yeah.
He's a wonderful
And
name.
was he in business in Ann Arbor?
No, he worked for Bendix for a while,
Okay.
and...
all right. And he's retired now.
He's retired now, living up in Presqu'Île, Michigan, and is involved with their Kiwanis Club up there, and working toward keeping it going and getting, and being involved with it.
Well, it's nice of you to call on that.
Well, I just wanted to comment. Kiwanis is a
Maybe you should lend your talents to the Kiwanians.
maybe a little in a few years.
All right, dear. Thanks for calling.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yes.
You know, I thought I'd make mention of why I like Kiwanians. And the fact is that all of the money, all of it, that they collect, whatever fundraiser they're having, all of that money goes back into the community. And I think that people who tend to give to organizations have a little bit of skepticism and think, well, how much of it goes to administration and so forth. And I think that's one of the things that makes the Kiwanian clubs such a fantastic thing in each community.
That's a good point, sir.
That's an honest point, sir. See you later.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I was just going to say, you mentioned this woman calling about Ray, and he's a wonderful man and a real attribute to our club. But we do in our club, and I don't know about Al's, we do have 15 members of our club who are either the sons or daughters of club members. So I would say to Ms. Steiner, or you're more than welcome to join us and continue that trend. Do you have sons and daughters in your club, Al?
We have sons, not too many, but we have some. And they continue to try to carry on the Kiwanis tradition. I think that I'd like to go back for just a minute on some of the things which our Kiwanis Club has been involved in. We have been involved in Boys State and Scout Jamborees, interlocking scholarships. We've provided medicine and clothing for children, along with other activities. We have dealt with local and community issues, though Kiwanis is not a political nor a religious organization. Yet we expect people to have certain spiritual values and certainly a feeling of Americanism and commitment to the country and to the community as one of the things which we think are important in being a Kiwanian. And along with that, a commitment to the community that they're willing to get out and do things to help out. And our willingness to serve is only limited by the amount of money which we can raise through our activities.
So you have both liberals and conservatives in Kiwanis, right?
Oh, absolutely. Lots of them.
As I said, it's a cosmopolitan mix. But you know, the beautiful story of the whole of Kiwanis is that all these people from different walks of life, different ages, different backgrounds, if you will, come together, you know, at least once a week, you know, and have that common denominator of good fellowship and helping others. You know, I mean, there's a miracle in my mind that unfolds each and every week in communities across this world.
What are the requirements?
Really, I think Al hit on it. You know, we're interested in people of good character. There's really, you know, no age limitation. People that are just willing to do something for someone else. And there's a dues structure involved in joining Kiwanis. But other than that, it's just a matter of people stepping forward. And I'll give out our phone number again, and I know Al can give out his. But for anybody in the Ann Arbor area that would be interested in Kiwanis, you can call me. I'm Dale Leslie at 665-6153. And I guess the Ypsilanti area, Al?
My name is Al Joslyn, Joslyn, at 483-3779. And I would also give you the number of Harold Padelford. That's P-A, capital D-E-L-F-O-R-D. And Mr. Padelford's number is 483-3484. And like Dale, we welcome anybody who has an interest in community service and the fellowship which goes with a group of men who are of like mind. It's a broad cosmopolitan group. We have professional people, doctors, lawyers, professors. We have tradesmen. You name it, we have it.
Everybody but announcers.
Everybody but announcers, and we'd be glad to invite you to join.
Hey, listen, wasn't there a Jocelyn at Michigan Normal years ago?
Yes, Chauncey.
I remember that name.
Chauncey Jocelyn was one of the early pioneers in the history of the city of Ypsilanti. Unfortunately, I can't claim any relationship.
I just want to say, too, Ted, and this is completely unsolicited, that our hats are off to Radio 16 WAAM for all of the time that you have devoted to promoting our activities. And so much of this is gratis on your part. And, I mean, that's part of being in the community as well, the service that your show and this radio station performs. So, and as I said, there's no twisting of my arm to say that. I just want to go on record to say Kiwanis owes a debt of gratitude to you and this radio station.
I got to tell you a funny story now. This is nothing against you guys, but I go down on Saturday. Many times I've been down there, talk to the guys.
To the rummage sale, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I bought this huge television down once. And I had hooked it up in the basement. I needed another one in the basement someplace. And I remember looking at that thing one day, and it exploded. It actually exploded. And it, you know, it wasn't serious, but it was so funny.
We have a guarantee at our rummage sale. It's called To the Door.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, this was so funny. I'll never forget
Well,
that.
a good radio person shouldn't be watching television anyway.
It was in the I bought it there for the kids in the basement. Well, anyway, it's their 75th. And coming up Saturday is your 75th. And
Tomorrow,
your 75th. Right? Yes, tomorrow. And your 75th
is the 18th.
Is the 18th.
Right.
Charles McKinney Hall.
So, Joe Madrano, you're listening?
Can I put in a little plug here? I don't know if we have time for something that's related but somewhat unrelated. Tomorrow, along West Stadium, is the walkathon for the Peace Neighborhood Center that's being sponsored by the West Stadium Business Association. There's no charge to participate, lots of prizes and refreshments. Meet down at Vets Park at 8:30 in the morning, and the walk will be over by noon, and a good time will be had by all. So that's wearing one of my other hats, but I didn't want to get that plug in.
Who takes care of your business?
Good point.
No, is this, do you find that it is taxing on the business? Is this one of the reasons you may not get younger people?
I think that people are stretched pretty thin when it comes to their personal time, and that's probably a reason. But there's just a lot of things to invest your time in.
Good.
But I think Kiwanis should be foremost on anyone's list.
Of course, old Joss over here, he's retired.
That's right. I think that...
But you're spending it in a great way.
I think that the big problem in Ypsilanti, as far as recruiting members, our business community has been lost to us pretty largely, and consequently the Mellenkamps and the Schaefers and the Seyfrieds and many of the other people who were members of the club back at that time are no longer available.
Hopefully it's coming back.
Right.
Tom Slade has great hope that it's coming back.
Right.
And I was talking with Keith Peters, you know Keith.
Right.
And Keith says there are all kinds of things going to happen in Ypsilanti, businesses that are going to come there. And so that'll be great.
Especially with the improvements on Michigan Avenue that are in the offing. And
of course, out there on Stadium Boulevard, where you're just off Stadium Boulevard with your office supply shop.
We call it Financial Row. Every bank's out there. So.
Yeah, all the banks are out there.
Why not do all your shopping out there?
And yes, it's a busy place. Let's face it.
I don't want to say too much. You might charge me for commercial.
And no, you have a fine office supply shop, and we want to encourage people to drop by there. Listen, they're ringing the bell here.
Okay.
So thank you both.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you very much.
All on WAAM.
If it's in the news,